What's going on, guys? Gabe here with ReviewDork, and we have the two consoles here. Note this is not a review. If you haven't seen that review, we did a 30-day review. It should pop up in the bubble somewhere, and also there's a link in the description. So, first time visiting this channel, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, turn on notifications, and I don't know. Listen, guys, happy holidays. Hope you're staying safe down here in Florida. I don't know. Florida's broken right now, super cold, that's why I'm wearing a turtleneck. But getting back to the consoles here, we wanted to test ambient temperature and really get an idea for where the bulk of the components were without having to take it apart. And the way we were able to do that is using a FLIR 1 thermal camera, but it gave us some insight as to the cooling solutions that were implemented by Microsoft and by the PlayStation 5. And we're going to get to that in a second. I just want to give a shout out to the men in blue and the men in brown. Yes, we're talking about FedEx and UPS. I should have gotten my Apple AirPod Max, got delayed, and I understand why. Those guys are getting bombarded and delivering your packages, but also saving lives and making sure the COVID vaccinations are distributed nationwide. But getting back to these consoles here. Now, there was a news outbreak about the PS5 overheating, and it was a Best Buy demo. And smart guys at Best Buy decided to put the PS5 inside a crystal display. It became a sauna in there, so I could imagine anybody walking on over like, oh my god, they got a PS5 on demo. Like, let's check it out. And they're playing Miles Morales, and then it just dies, right? Black screen, like all kinds of errors. In fact, PlayStation has recommended that you keep the rear of its console about 4 inches away from a wall, and we're going to show you guys why. We got the FLIR 1 thermal camera. It's a nifty little tool. We're actually waiting on a power meter to calculate total draw power. That's not coming in until later today, so thank you, Amazon, for saving the day. We'll actually use that power meter when we review a couple of laptops that are coming in, including an 11th generation Dell Inspiron 2-in-1 4K display. All the goodies, right? But let's talk about heat dissipation, because these two devices are night and day, and their heat dissipation tactics are just completely different. Now, I want to give Microsoft a shout out for keeping this more PC-like with a 130mm fan that is designed to outtake air. And we're talking about ambient temperature, guys. We're not talking about CPU temperature. We're not talking about GPU temperature. So we have the Xbox with a Zen 2 CPU. Now, this is clocked at 3.8 gigahertz, and this also has a custom 8-core Zen 2 CPU, but this is clocked at 3.5 gigahertz. Now, when we talk about GPUs, now we have 52 compute units in the GPU, but a lower base frequency. The PS5 has a higher base frequency with the RDNA 2 custom GPU. So when we turned on our FLIR 1 thermal camera, we found something rather interesting. The PlayStation, most of its heat is being emanated from down to bottom here, and we saw heats reaching as high as 58 degrees Celsius. So keep it away from the wall, guys. Do not have anything behind it, because this is vital for proper functioning. Now, on the top half here, what we're going to find is an omnidirectional intake fan. And I think the engineers are pretty crafty in designing that omnidirectional intake fan. However, I'm just a little confused as to why we don't have maybe something like a mesh here that would allow greater airflow. But we do see the vents, or the intake vents, coming in on the front side of the device, and then the fans are spinning and just sucking air in, and then you have the exhaust down in the bottom. And it did get relatively hot. However, we found on the top and front side that the temperatures were not really hot at all. In fact, I believe we recorded in the 20s and the 30s degrees Celsius up top, and no more than maybe about 40 on the front panel. But this is where all the action is happening, so keep that in mind. If you want your PS5 to last a long time, please do not block these vents back here. Now, with the Xbox, what we found, something really interesting. The system remains cool, very, very cool throughout. So, surface ambient temperature, you're going to find that to be in the mid 40s, and we're able to see where the heat zones or the hot zones were inside the system. And on the backside, we also did see some temperature spiking in the 40-degree mark. But up top is where all the action was, and this would make sense given that there's a fan up top and it's exhausting air, and well, hot air likes to go upward. So how did we run this test? Well, we wanted to make sure things were pretty even, so we were playing Call of Duty Cold War on both the systems in resolution mode, not performance mode, so it was 60 frames per second with ray tracing enabled. And this is how we got our heat samples. And so, in short, let's really talk about this because there seems to be some war on Reddit about PS5s overheating or running too hot, or an Xbox overheating or Xbox is running too hot. But let's really marvel on how cool it is that these systems have internal PSUs, with the Xbox having a 315 watt internal power supply and the PS5 having a 350 watt internal power supply. Now, there was testing done with Gears 5 thanks to Digital Foundry, and we found that peak power consumption was no more than 215 watts, where we got averaged out peak power consumption with Spider-Man, Miles Morales. You know, it depends who you ask, but you're getting between 170 and 180 watts of peak power. Now, this wasn't an experiment to see which system is better thermally. In fact, I don't want to do a complete teardown on this. I'm not sure if I'll end up voiding any warranties. And I'm not sure if these systems are ideally user serviceable, but with that being said, these systems were engineered and, you know, with some tolerances in place. So if you're going to jump on Reddit, if you're going to jump on anywhere and say, well, the PlayStation 5 runs hotter, or the Xbox Series X runs cooler, or, you know, I think that that is a moot argument. They both run, they both play games, and they do a great job doing it. Anyways, this is Gabe with ReviewDork. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm signing out. Gotta take this off because it's getting hot in here. Peace.